So, change of plans today. I originally planned on talking about U.S. Open Cup and the Monterey Bay LAFC match coming up, the Colorado-Sacramento match. All that's going to get pushed back. I'm not originally going to talk about New England, Toronto like I was, because there's just so much going on with the two firings in Chicago and New Jersey that took place this morning. And there's a lot of buzz generated around U.S. Open Cup, especially after MLS Commissioner Don Garber's comments about how the league is not really interested last week. So those two, a lot of those things are going to get pushed back because I got to talk about these two firings. First, I'll start off with the New York Red Bulls. No, actually, I'm going to start off with Chicago Fire, Erza Hendrickson. Where did Erza Hendrickson go wrong? First, honestly, when I started watching Major League Soccer in 2021, I didn't know that was Erza's first year. And so my criticism of him was me not really knowing that was his first full season. But despite of that, he just didn't look like the right guy. And it's not because of him per se. It's more so the players not really responding to his game plans and his coaching philosophy. The Chicago Fire they just never fully came together as a team to play good, solid soccer successfully for a full season. During the years of Erza, the team had runs, they had winning streaks, but they were just never consistent. And another issue that it looks took place during Erza's time in Chicago is relationship with players. I'm not really sure if he had the best relationships with players, particularly the younger guys. You see how John Duran forced his way out of Chicago. You saw how Gaga Slolina sped up the process for him to leave Chicago. Now you have the issue with the two young stars in Gutierrez, and I can't remember the name of the other player. They're not allowed to play for the U20 national team, which is really the gateway for players to play for the national World Cup FIFA team. They usually start in the U20. That's when guys who want to play for the national team someday, that's where they usually get recruited, through U20. That's where they make their mark. That's where they really start to build their resume, through that. And him not allowing them to play, that raised a lot of eyebrows. Now, I'm not here to say if he's right or wrong for that. I don't know. But one thing I do know is a lot of people were wondering why. The justification for that, from what I'm hearing, is that he wants everybody to be locked in on team goals. He wanted everybody to be fully focused on the team goals for the year. That's not a bad thing. But at the same time, in soccer, we all know that players are not just focused on the team, or just the specific team they play for. Players got other obligations and duties with the national team. And everybody knows this. The only players who are really focused on just the team are usually guys that are not good enough to play for the national team. So a guy like Gutierrez missing an opportunity to showcase his talents, that raised a lot of eyebrows. Is that the reason why he got fired? I don't know. Maybe it played a role. I don't know. But one thing I do know that played a role is the fact that the team was above the playoff line 2 weeks ago, and now today they are fallen to 14th in the East. One thing I do know is that this year the team has once again fallen back to being inconsistent, like they were in 2021 and 2022. The problem with Erza in Chicago was his team being inconsistent. And that's, in my opinion, is probably the reason why he's fired today. But we also got to ask a question to Chicago Fire ownership group, because this is the third coach that's been fired since 2019, according to ESPN. And back in 2019, Veljo Panovic was fired. Veljo Panovic was fired in 2019. And then Rafael Wiki, he was fired after the 2021 season, according to ESPN. So, Erza only had one full season. It was 2022. One full season. This is similar to what went on in Houston. And I'm not even sure if the coach of Houston last year had a full season. That was his first season, and he was fired like in the middle of the season or whatever. All I'm saying is, you fired your third coach in like 4 years. So now we gotta ask, who is the guy in Chicago that's hiring these coaches? Who is the guy that's hiring these coaches and these coaches are not working out? If it's the same guy that's been hiring these coaches since 2019, you can't put the blame on Erza. Now we have to look at the guy who's responsible for hiring these last three coaches. Who is the person that's been in charge of hiring the coaches for the Chicago Fire since 2019? Because obviously, that man is not doing his job right. He's doing a terrible job. And if Erza is out, then he has to go. Now, New York Red Bulls, Gerhard Struber. The reason I think Gerhard Struber was fired was due to underachievement. The New York Red Bulls have underachieved. And they have been underachieving before Struber got there. But it's just the fact that more people are watching American soccer more than ever before. More people are watching MLS more than ever before. It is more noticeable now. More people are paying attention. More people are watching the game. We don't remember what the Red Bulls did within the last decade. But we do remember what the Red Bulls have done in the 2020s. We saw how the Red Bulls were outperformed by a young Cincinnati squad in the 2022 playoffs. We saw how the New York Red Bulls got swept by NYCFC in the 2022 regular season. We saw how the New York Red Bulls allowed that same NYCFC team back in 2021 win an MLS Cup championship before them. We see what's going on now. And the problem with the New York Red Bulls is underachievement. The New York Red Bulls is a pioneer. The New York Red Bulls is one of the original MLS members from 1996. Don Garber calls them the legacy clubs. There have been a handful of Eastern Conference teams, or just teams in the East, that have surpassed the Red Bulls in performance ever since 2010. Atlanta has surpassed New York Red Bulls. Philly have surpassed New York Red Bulls in performance. Orlando is playing better than the Red Bulls. Nashville is playing better than the Red Bulls. Charlotte is playing better than the Red Bulls. Miami is playing better than the Red Bulls. You also got some Western Conference teams that have surpassed the Red Bulls since 2010. Seattle has surpassed the Red Bulls. Portland has surpassed Red Bulls. Minnesota is playing better than the Red Bulls. Austin hasn't been around for long, and they're playing better than the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls being at the bottom of the league has become normal. People don't even expect Red Bulls to win championships. That's why they don't show up to Red Bull Arena. NYCFC outnumbers the Red Bulls in home attendance. And I'm not even talking about Hudson River Derby. I'm talking about regular NYCFC games, whether it's NYCFC versus New England or NYCFC versus Charlotte or DC United. And if it's at Red Bull Arena, NYCFC have a larger home crowd at Red Bull Arena than the New York Red Bulls. That's because people have given up on the Red Bulls. Because people don't expect much out of the Red Bulls. And honestly, I thought that this firing should have been done immediately after that playoff loss to Cincinnati. I'm kind of wondering, why did it take this long? This coach should have not entered the 2023 season as head coach of the Red Bulls. Gerhard Struber should not have entered 2023 as the head coach of the New York Red Bulls. He should have been fired that same night they got eliminated from the playoffs against Cincinnati. So now, my message to both of you teams. Where do we go from here now? Because I know those two interim coaches you have, they're not gonna be the head coach and coaches in 2024. I just don't see that happening. MLS is a more attractive league now. You have higher quality, more skillful coaches around the world that'll be interested in coaching both of these clubs. Yes, Chicago and New York Red Bulls are destination clubs. They're not a bridge in the gap type of club where a coach just come in to build a resume and then go find a job for another club. Oh no. Even though these two teams are at the bottom right now, they are still destination clubs. Number one, the markets. New York Red Bulls, you got that New York, New Jersey market. You got Newark, New Jersey. You got the boroughs. You still got the 5 boroughs of New York. New York Red Bulls is a great location to be for soccer. And then you got Chicago, the capital of the Midwest. So those are two huge destination jobs that any coach, any good, skillful coach that want to make a name for herself will choose, as long as the money is right. So where do we go from here, New York Red Bulls? Where do we go from here, Chicago Fire? There is no reason why both of you should be at the bottom based on your location and the media market and the amount of soccer fans in those two regions. Y'all got to get it right. Now, I don't know where you go from here because this is just day one of the firing. So, as the days and the weeks and the months go by, we'll get more information about what's going on and what your vision and what y'all want to do. But now both of you ownership groups, New York Red Bulls and Chicago Fire, y'all got to start making yourself more visible to the fans now. Y'all got to make yourself more visible to the media. Because we all want answers now. No more hiding. Y'all need to make yourself more visible. Both of you ownership groups, both of you GMs, we need more press conferences. It doesn't have to be weekly press conferences. It can be monthly or bi-monthly. But we need to see you more visible in the media. We need, or social media. We need more accountability from both of you clubs. So I'm just going to stick with my question. Where do we go from here? Chicago Fire, New York Red Bulls, ownership, general managers, front office. Where do we go from here? This is the 2020 decade. More people are watching American soccer more than ever. People want to know, why is Cincinnati performing better than New York and Chicago? Why is Nashville performing better than New York and Chicago? Why is Orlando performing better than New York and Chicago? Why did NYCFC win a championship, an MLS Cup title, before the New York Red Bulls, who's been around since 1996? How is St. Louis City outperforming Chicago when Chicago been around much longer? This is what we want to know to make sure that this stretch of losing doesn't happen again for a very long time.